We are joined by Tulsi Gabbard now. She's a former U.S. representative for Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District, former presidential candidate, lieutenant colonel in the United States Army Reserve. She's got a book coming out in April, For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind. Tulsi, great to have you on the show.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to talk to you guys.
We have so much we want to go over with you, but can we start with there seems to be in this audience, and I don't know if you'd be familiar with this until we tell you, but a draft Tulsi as a Trump VP option caucus. I mean, there's a lot of people that write in and tell us this is what they want to hear about. Would you consider that, Tulsi?
I would. Thanks for sharing that with me, by the way. I wasn't aware, but I of course I would. My interest and goal has always been trying to find the best place that I can serve our country and make a positive impact. We have so many challenges that we're facing right now. This election is absolutely critical. And what I'm finding as I'm traveling across the country, speaking to many of the points that I wrote about in my book about why I left the Democratic Party and how today's Democrat elite are doing their very best to destroy our democracy just so that they can hold on to power. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of folks out there who feel politically homeless right now. Some of them may still technically be Democrats, but don't feel any connection to those in power in the Democratic Party. Some are independents and others. And I'm encouraging them to look at what is really happening in this country, to reject the Democrats. And I hate to say it's just Joe Biden, because as you both know very well, it's not. Someone asked me last night at CPAC, well, do you think they're going to replace Joe Biden? I said, I don't know. Maybe they will, but what difference will that really make? Whether it's Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or whoever else they may put forward, they all stand for the same policies that are destroying our democracy and undermining our freedom, undermining the rule of law, doing everything they possibly can simply to hold on to power. And that's a threat to us all.
Tulsi, appreciate you coming on. I don't know if you've heard the audio. We played it for our audience earlier, but the ladies on The View had a huge discussion about you, and they said, you're a Russian asset. Vladimir Putin has got control of you. I'm paraphrasing. When you hear people say that, and it's not just random people online. I mean, The View is distributed by ABC News. It has got, crazily to me, a substantial audience of viewers. What do you think? What is your response when you hear people say, like they did on The View, that you're a Russian asset?
Well, first of all, you know, they said all of those things about me when I ran for president in 2020, and it wasn't limited to The View. As you know, Hillary Clinton was one of the main propagators of that lie. And I actually took The View ladies to task on that, Joy Behar specifically, when they invited me on the show, and reminded all of them and their viewers about how much I love our country. I'm proud to wear the uniform of the cloth of this country. I'm proud to serve in the Army now for over 20 years, to have served in Congress for 8 years on the armed services and the foreign affairs committees, trusted with some of the most classified information that we have. I'm willing to die for our country. And to my knowledge, not a single woman on The View has ever put their lives on the line for our country, or perhaps even thought about it. So when I hear people, and they're not the only ones resorting to this, obviously we're hearing this now being drummed up again about Donald Trump. What I hear is they have nothing left but to play the Russian asset card, because they know they can't win on the issues. They know they can't win in a fair argument or debate or any conversation of substance. And this is not just limited to Democrats. There's a woman on The View who I saw, she claims to be a normie Republican, whatever that means. But she is parroting the very same line that these Democrats and Hillary Clinton are parroting. And these are the very same people who want to continue to take us into more counterproductive, unnecessary wars. They're not looking out for the American people. They're not looking out for our country, and they don't care about the Constitution. So I don't think we should pay much attention to them.
Tulsi, last time I saw you, we talked a bit about the the situation in Maui after the horrible wildfire that happened there and the tremendous loss of property and life. The Biden administration response and what's happened since then. How can you bring us up to speed on what the status is in the aftermath of that tragedy, which was only a few months back?
Yes, the aftermath is still being felt. There are no homes yet being rebuilt on the land that was destroyed by the wildfire, and I so appreciate you bringing this up back, Buck, because the families who are displaced are still homeless. That's the bottom line. Some have been put up in hotels or Airbnbs, but they are still without a place that they can call home. FEMA and the Biden administration, including a lot of the state and county government, their response is abysmal from the beginning. I would say probably some of it has improved in the sense that at least people aren't living in tents. They have a hard roof over their heads. But the fact that it's actually been several months, August of last year was when this fire occurred. There is so much more that could have been done more quickly to help them rather than leaving them in the way that they are, still stranded so many months later. Pete Buttigieg was just out there in Hawaii this past week, and so he was asked a lot of questions by people locally about what they're doing within the Department of Transportation to help alleviate some of the situations they're facing on that side of the island on Maui. But much like we saw with Biden visiting East Palestine, Ohio, more than a year after their disaster with the chemical spill that they felt in the aftershocks and the aftermath, they are still suffering. I just, my heart goes out to them because they are not getting anywhere near the care and attention and advocacy and frankly emotion that we're hearing from the Biden administration about the war in Ukraine. And that was one of the first things, and I don't remember if I told you, Buck, when I saw you, but 3 days after the fire, when I was there on Maui, that was some of the first things that the residents there told me was, hey, I wonder if we changed our name to Ukraine or Kiev, then maybe somebody would pay attention to us.
Yeah. Tulsi, you and I think we're around the same age, and we have a similar political path where you were obviously a Democrat congresswoman. I voted Democrat in past elections. I've talked about this. And one reason I'm super optimistic is I do think there are enough open-minded people in America to recognize these awful choices that the Democrats are making now. When you travel the country, you got a book I know coming out in April. Do you meet a lot of people who tell you that they've had the same political evolution as you have? Because I do meet a lot of people when I go around the country. Buck's different. At 15, he knew exactly what he thought, and he stayed consistent growing up in New York City. He's truly a unicorn in some sense. But you and I are a little bit more similar in our political paths. I'm curious how much positive feedback and also people telling you that they have followed you. I think Elon Musk is a good example maybe of this as well. How many people do you meet who maybe have had the same political evolution as the two of us?
I'm glad you brought that up because it is almost every day, Clay. It's whether it's people I'm meeting in person. I just got off a plane and met someone in the airport as I was waiting for my luggage, people sending me notes online or DMs on social media, people who feel more emboldened to know that they are not alone in the way that they feel. And that, in my case, I'm using whatever platform I have to bring voice to these concerns and frustrations that a lot of them feel and have been feeling for quite some time. Some people, maybe for generational or family legacy reasons, haven't taken that step yet to leave the Democratic Party. But in their hearts, they can't vote for Joe Biden. They can't vote for the people who are causing such harm to our country in so many respects. I talk to parents who aren't politically involved, but they are feeling the hurt of, hey, I've got an 8-year-old little girl who's wants to compete in gymnastics. Am I going to have to worry about her competing against a boy? Obviously, the female athletes who are swimmers. I have friends who are surfers at the highest levels who are afraid to speak out about the fact that the World Surf League has said that biological men can compete against them in the world championship contests. And what does that mean for their livelihood and their future? there are a lot of people who have been silent, who have been politically disengaged, who are now waking up, and that's where I find hope and opportunity in this election, especially given all that's at stake. To really encourage people, if nothing else, make sure you get out and cast your informed vote to stop this insanity.
Just as we're here, we get an email from one of our VIPs, Mark. Gentlemen, there's evidence that Trump may be giving serious consideration to Tulsi Gabbard for VP. So this is an ongoing conversation among our listeners on 500 stations. So Tulsi, appreciate you being here with us. We'd love to have you come back and talk more about all these issues and also about this 2024 election cycle. And when's the book coming out?
The book comes out April 30th. We are encouraging folks, if you're interested, pre-order now. If you have a friend or maybe a spouse or a son or daughter who is maybe one of those people we're talking about who doesn't quite know where they're at in this election and is maybe walking this journey themselves, buy the book for them. It's available on Amazon.com right now. It's called For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind.
Tulsi Gabbard, everybody. Tulsi, thanks again.
Thank you both. Aloha.